Yay! Welcome back to Lam Rim. And we're just waking up here in Arizona, so don't take it too seriously. All right. We're just finishing up something from yesterday, and then we're going to move to a new topic. It's the last sentence from yesterday. You guys see it? It says Dorna. Dorna. Okay. M-D-O-R-N-A. M-D-O-R-N-A. Okay. Dorna semde kuni lang tegewa kanche kyang. Any good deed you do with the motivation of bodhicitta. Did you find it, you guys? Yay! Kanche kyang. Good. De penyin semchen tamche ki tanda nyamba jung sung. So to wrap up from yesterday, if you have this feeling in your heart that what your ultimate goal in life is to help countless beings, and you can just try to imagine it. And again, for me, I like to pretend I'm in a spaceship. I take off from this world. I just head out in any direction, and I keep going. And there's no end to it, right? There's no skin to the bubble that you hit the edge of the universe and you have to stop or something like that. There's nothing. You keep going. And if you do small things in your life, like making coffee from motor oil, and just kidding, then I'm really just kidding. It's quite good. If you just make a coffee or something, but it's with that motivation, then what Pabongka Rinpoche is saying here is that you can multiply that good deed by the number of beings that your spaceship is passing. Okay, so billions upon billions, okay? And it's so efficient, and by the way, I think it's probably the only way you can become a Buddha, because a Buddha requires so much karma. So I guess you would have to make karma with countless beings to create it, to become a Buddha. So let's do it. All right, we finished 5 benefits so far, and the esteemed friends in the room, who are all veteran Dharma practitioners, are going to tell me the 5. First of the 10 benefits.
Join the family.
You join the team. What'd you say?
The family. Join the
Yeah, you join the family. Good. Yeah. It's like joining the mafia family. And you become part of the family. What's the picture? Tennis player. Okay. Second one?
You get a name.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you graduate. You get a degree. You are now a bodhisattva. Okay. Third one. Oh, what was the picture? Yeah, graduation picture. Third one. It's a little bit difficult. It's the sun and the birds.
That's the family. Oh, you outshine.
Yeah, you outshine. Yeah. The sun is more glorious than the beautiful, graceful birds. The beautiful, graceful birds are cool, but the sun is a little bigger. Okay. Number 4. Let's see. What's the picture? Yeah, coffee shop.
So you become a high object and give confidence.
Yeah, I think that one's super sexy. I mean, just to think that it's a weird angle, right? Like, we don't think that way very often. But if we became a really good person, then all the person around us could make more good karma. If they just make us coffee and stuff like that. So wouldn't that be nice to be that good? Okay, that's a kind of an unusual twist, right? Number 5, and that was, I'll give you the picture.
It's the men on the beam on the skyscraper.
Nah, you keep wanting to do the men on the beam.
Well, how about the big equipment?
Yeah, the big equipment. The men on the beam are way back, like the Buddha paradises are going to shake, because I forget. I even forget what part that's in. Oh, yeah. It's like joining the family. Their throne shakes, and then they say, hey, we got a new kid in our family. Okay, Sokya Chenpo Delakta Zopa. Yeah. Super efficient way to collect more good karma. not picking up rocks one by one anymore. Which was, we should go out and do it just for fun, just to give people the feeling of what it's like. Okay, so we're on number 6. Okay, benefit number 6, and I was going to show the planets, but let's forget it. Which is, if you get to bodhicitta, it's extremely powerful for wiping out old bad seeds, okay? Bodhicitta is extremely powerful as an antidote for wiping out old bad karmic seeds, okay? Just the dream of helping infinite numbers of living creatures is enough to cancel a lot of our old bad deeds. And those of us who have been practicing our whole life, we still do bad deeds. We still make mistakes. We still yell at people and stuff like that. We still say bad things about coffee and stuff and hurt people's feelings. And we still make mistakes all day. So wouldn't it be nice if there was some kind of powerful way to just cancel all those stupid little mistakes we make all day? And so that intention or that feeling is what we're going to cover next. Benefit number 6. The picture is the sun, the surface of the sun. Here we go. Okay. It should be Idim 30. Yeah. Okay. So I want you to imagine that you're eating French fries in the car and trying to drive at the same time, which never happens. And it's really hard to get the ketchup right when you're driving. It's also dangerous. I suppose you're also on your cell phone at the same time. But you've had this experience where you put on a nice shirt or a nice blouse and you're going to someone's wedding. This happened to us recently. And then you spill ketchup on the blouse, and shit. And it's too late to turn around and go back home, and you're trying to drive and clean it at the same time. And imagine, to clean the ketchup stain on your shirt, you send it to the middle of the sun, okay, the laundromat of the middle of the sun. So I'm trying to, why did Geshe-la pick that picture? I think I was going to a wedding and spilled ketchup on my shirt. And then I was trying to think of some extremely powerful way of removing a stain, And I looked it up and I forgot what it was. But the temperature at the middle of the sun, I don't know, so many 50 million degrees or something. And that's the chance that your bad seeds have to survive bodhicitta. Okay, that's the chance that your bad seeds have to survive bodhicitta. If your bad seeds come close to bodhicitta, it's like ketchup stain in the middle of the sun. Okay, and I think when we originally taught this, it was during the heavy virus times. And we were talking about removing that seed with bodhicitta. Okay, so here we go. Chupani dikpa laang dile lapa mete. Even forget collecting good deeds, good seeds, but for cleaning away bad seeds, there's nothing better than bodhicitta. Bodhicitta is number 1. Okay? Lapa mete, chunjugle. Chunjuk says, what's chunjuk? For $3. Changchu sempe chupalan jukpa. Yeah, Guide to the Bodhisattva's Way of Life. It says, and he keeps using this text, right? Dikpa topchen shintimi sepa, teni tope changchup sem mimpa, geishen kanki silky number gear. They'll silky number for $20. Outside. Yay! $20. $20 for Janice. But silky number here means the bodhicitta. Silky number's the ketchup stain. See the big difference, right? Okay, the bodhicitta outshines. It overwhelms the little bad deeds we did all day long. Okay, or the big ones also. Okay, So he's, who is it? Who's talking? Master Shantideva is comparing bodhicitta to something which outshines completely your bad deeds. They don't stand a chance against your bodhicitta. Okay? Even the worst bad deeds, he says here. Okay? All right. Shepata shapa shenki midabe digdipshin to chewang. There may be things we've done in our life which were so serious that even if we use the 4 powers, it's difficult to remove them. Okay, it's difficult to freeze dry them. Okay, but if you're able to just think about helping countless beings, sepagir, those bad seeds will be finished off. Sepa, finished. Papa Tome Ki. Then he talks about Arya Sangha. Okay, Papa Tome. Lo Chuni Sudupe Gewale. He practiced in the cave, as you know, and here's his picture with the dog. Okay. Idim number 31. He practiced for 12 years in a cave, as we know the story, right? Because we've been studying the lion's dance, which is, which he taught after learning it from Maitreya, after he was able to see Maitreya by taking care of a dog, okay, taking care of a wounded dog. Okay, good. Sebak Papa Tomeki, Lo Chiniki, Jupe Gewale, he practiced in the cave for 12 years. But Ningje Len Chik, true compassion for a single minute was more powerful for him. Okay? He spent 12 years in the cave doing Maitreya's mantra and asking Maitreya to come. And then a few minutes with the hurt dog on the highway ended up being more powerful for him. So he's comparing that moment of compassion for the dog to a moment of bodhicitta could clean away your bad deeds faster than doing the 4 powers over and over again. Okay. By the way, those idioms have numbers, you guys. And number 31, I'm on number 31. 37 and 31. Okay, maybe I forgot to send it to you. Ninja lanche kepa didip jongwane chel hapa chung. Chel hapa means much more powerful. Okay. Yay. Okay, Shenyang, Digpa Shinto. Here's another quotation. And he likes quotations. There we go. There's the Sangha. Arya Sangha. Oh, you had him. Oh, sorry, okay. Digpa Shinto mi se chenayang. Pala tene jikpa chambotar. Kala tene yuki drugywa. Tela bakchen namki chi miten. Digpa Shinto mi se chenayang. Even if you make big mistakes in your life, and we all did make big mistakes in our life. Pala tene jikpa chambotar. If you're in a very dangerous situation, but you have a friend who is extremely powerful, it's like you can just turn to them and say, help me out. I remember I was in college, and one of my friends said, hey, you want to go to mountain climbing? And I'm like, yeah, sure. And he was a very expert big guy, and an expert mountain climber. And so I said, yeah, I'll go. And so we went, and then he climbed up a cliff, a very high cliff. And I was down at the bottom, and I'm like this. And he got up at the top. He climbed over a negative incline and got up over the cliff. And then he's like, hey, Mike, come on, let's try it. And I'm like, I said, no, I don't want to. Then there was his girlfriend was with us. And she's this small lady with blonde hair, kind of like Katie. And she says, oh, well, I'll do it. And she climbs up with no rope, negative cliff, gets up to the top. I was like, I can do that. Then I said, oh, I can do that, And he said, well, I better rope you, And so I climb up, and he's holding the rope around his waist somehow, right? And I fell, and I fell at the negative part, and he was holding me with one hand, and he was like, ha, ha, ha. And I'm like, ah. Anyway, it's exactly the image here. Okay, you're in a dangerous mountain pass, and then you're in great danger, and then there's one big, powerful guy who knows what the heck he's doing, and he saves you. Okay, who's that? Bodhicitta. Okay. Karla tene yuki tu yuwa. If you ask them for help, they help you. Yuki means in a moment, in the moment of trouble, they hold the rope, and then you don't fall. Dela bakchen nang di chimikan. If you are any kind of a wise person who knows how to take care of themselves, then why wouldn't you ask them to hold the rope? If you're not a fool, you say, "Oh, please, hang on to that rope, okay? Hang on to bodhicitta, okay?" And then Pabongka Rinpoche explains I'm talking too fast, right, Tim? That always happens in the morning. I slow down later. She Sumbatar, Semde Yuna. If you have bodhicitta, Dig Dip Dan De Debu, you can escape the tongue, jikpe tongue, okay, tongue drill. This is an interesting expression, tongue drill, because it's the title of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, so the real title of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is saving yourself from the... Okay, I met a guy who climbed Mount Everest, and I didn't know about it, but when you get to the top, the last 5 yards, the last 5 meters is a ridge of ice. To get to the real top, you have to balance. The last thing you have to do at the top of the world is to balance on a ridge, and it's like 6 inches wide, and it's 30 feet or something. It's like 10 meters balancing with a full 100-pound pack and on oxygen, and that's the only way to get to the top. And then, that's called Tang Dul. The real title of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is trying to cross the last knife edge. It's called the knife edge in the top of the mountain. It's the real name. Knife edge, meaning the bardo. Okay. By the way, that text is famous for being mistaken, so I don't suggest it, and I don't think you should study it. And I know people who've been hurt by studying it. But the name is very cool, which is the knife's edge at the top of the world. Okay? So in this case, you need someone who's got the rope, who brings you up, and that's bodhicitta. And that's what Pabongka Rinpoche says Master Shantideva is talking about. Who is the first person up the mountain? Hillary. It's called Hillary's Crest. Well, he doesn't count because he was... Yeah. Anyway, it's called Hillary's Crest or something. All right, Jim Nayan, Dropa Chempa Danyan to Dropa Tar Jipa Mijum. If you have a big guy helping you up, you don't feel so scared. Okay, all right. I think we have a picture there somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Who's the guy in the blue jacket? Bodhicitta, yeah, good. And then you don't have to be so scared about big mistakes you made in your life. That's the cliff. That's the mountain cliff. Okay, cool? And the bodhicitta will take you up past them. Okay. Teni du te meshin dikchenam, keje chiki ngepa sekpache. Do say do te? Me. So this is the te. Te is the ta in Tarchin. What's that mean? Tarchin. Yeah, the end. Okay. Du means like Dunkor, Kala Chakra. Du. Tala. Time. Yeah. So this is called the fire of the end of time. The fire at the end of time. And this is like a nuclear fire that destroys this planet. Okay? And it's actually when the sun goes supernova. So Buddhism, the Abhidharma Kosha, third chapter, describes at the end of this sun, it will supernova and it will consume the earth. It will envelop the earth in flame. And then some texts say it'll be a war, some kind of incredible weapon which burns the entire earth. So anyway, bodhicitta is similar to that flame. Like in the way that the sun can supernova and melt this, it will, according to Abhidharma, it will vaporize this earth. And so you got to get the idea that your bodhicitta can vaporize your bad deeds. Okay? If you get a little bodhicitta, you can vaporize big bad deeds you did in the past. Okay? They will just turn into air and disappear. Okay? Yay! All right, Chepatar Dipe Pumbachita Cheyang. No matter how big is your pumbo of bad deeds. Okay, don't forget that pumbo can mean heap of leaves from a tree, but it can also mean a huge mountain. Okay, all right. Even if you have a mountain of mistakes you've made in your life, Kalpe me pushin sepashin. If you took a piece of dry wood and set it in the middle of the sun, okay, shindu dapachete, it would be disappear. Those bad seeds would just disappear. Okay. Dechir dipa jomba chepa laang. Therefore, if what you want to accomplish is simply to remove your own bad seeds, sem dida mandawa dikjong shenla logyar tsumbale, you can spend 100 years doing the 4 powers, but dinyi tunchi gomba chokyin, it would be better for you to spend 1 meditation session on bodhicitta. Okay, let's say it again. You could do 4 steps for 100 years. Or he says, dinyi tunchi gomba chok. And he doesn't say better, he says quite supreme, infinitely better, to spend an hour on trying to think about bodhicitta. Okay. Yay! I don't know about you, but me, I don't know. In that hour, I will also collect some new bad seeds. I don't know. Anyway, it's like a sandcastle. All right. Okay, so we're on to benefit number 7. All right. What was the picture from benefit number 6 now? What picture are we going to use for our meditation later?
Was the guy in the blue jacket?
Those were in the presentation, but what was the main picture? About the du te me. Yeah, the sun. Putting a ketchup stain in the middle of the sun. Okay. All right. Now, here's another picture. This is from Shenzhen. These are all the buildings in Shenzhen. And I don't know. Shenzhen's one of my favorite places in the world. It's kind of what New York used to be in 1970s or something. And it's extremely vibrant and beautiful. The city didn't exist until 1970s or something. And now it's 25 million people. And it's all new. And it's all incredibly beautiful. And they have done a lot to make sure the city is beautiful. So for every skyscraper, there's a park. And it's amazing. It's really beautiful. And it's the center of innovation for the world, really, right now. So anyway, all of your wishes come true. Benefit number 7, okay? If you develop bodhicitta, then all of the wishes in your heart come true, okay? Let's go see what the text says. Dumbani, if you're able to spend some time every day thinking about helping not just people in your country or people in your family or not just people. The big thing, I think, is we have to move beyond imagining helping all the people in this world, because that's not many. Okay, it's only 100 billion or something. All the living creatures. Okay, so it's a lot more important. You got to break through from this planet to other planets. It's foolish to think that if life can occur on one planet, and if the planets are infinite, then there's not infinite planets where there's life. It's just foolish to think that way. We haven't met other planets' people yet, but maybe they don't want to meet us. I don't know. I mean, there's a pretty easy explanation. If somebody in your office says, "I don't know why nobody ever asked me out to lunch," and you're like, "Well, it's kind of hard to explain." Maybe you should brush your teeth once in a while. Okay, anyway. So you got to break out from the limitations of this beautiful blue planet, and you got to put your mind further. Okay, it's pretty simple. It's easy to break out from one town to another town. It's easy to imagine helping people from another country, but if you're gonna play this game, you got to break out from this planet. Okay, you got to admit that there's countless other planets. In fact, there are countless planets on which, some guy is teaching Pabongka's Lam Rim. At this sentence, there are countless planets where some guy with no hair on top is teaching Pabongka Rinpoche's Lam Rim right now. This sentence. There are countless planets where somebody who looks just like Geshe Michael, and by the way, who's not Geshe Michael, but is teaching this sentence right now, logically, because it's infinite. So the odds are infinite. Okay, if you roll the dice 1 billion times, you'll get every number. So, if you're able to break out past this one world, then nekap means stuff you want to accomplish today. This afternoon, we have a book publishing meeting after the class, right? Something you want to accomplish this afternoon. Or tartukidun, your pursuit of total enlightenment. Bemetudup, you can accomplish these things without any hassle at all. Okay? Not much work. Okay. And then eventually you can get to the highest goal of all, what's that? Help every person in the universe get rid of all of their trouble and pain, and help them get everything they want. Okay? If you just have this, if you're able to break out from this one world to all worlds, okay? Chunjuk Le, he quotes Chunjuk. Good, if you guys didn't get that right, you would have to pay me $100. That's where all this thing is headed. You think I'm being generous about it. I'm going to flip it someday. Dini tse meke with sonamki, techo de la nidu toparsam. The Buddha said that you can easily help countless beings if you just break out of this world, just break out of this one world to the idea that you could help all beings in all worlds. Okay. All right. Let's see. Shenyang. Semdi gyula kina, gyude sokne shepe ringata leso, mi pel dan pel ki mi dupa tamje kyan se me du mu. He says, look, lots of people trying to practice Tantra. Lots of people say, I'm going to practice Diamond Way. I'm going to do Vajrayogini, or I'm going to do Medicine Buddha, or I'm going to do Amitabha. Lots of people trying to practice mantras to succeed in these higher secret practices, okay? Samdigilakina. If you enter those practices with just a little bit of bodhicitta imagination, like I'm breaking out from this planet. I'm helping everybody on all planets. If you approach your mantras, your dharanis, with this kind of feeling in your heart, then Shepe Ringat, you will succeed. Sekme, say it, sekme.
Sekme.
Sekme means no hassle. Okay, sek means hassle. It's a cute word. Sekmema, easy. Okay, so just get this motivation a little bit. Study Lamrim, study bodhicitta, then go do your medicine Buddha mantras, your dharanis, and super powerful. Okay, then they will work. They will work for you, and they won't work. Me pel them pelki. If you just have normal thoughts, normal worldly thoughts, and you're not breaking out of this world to help others, that's called, here it's called normal. He says, if you're just a normal, pel dum pel. By the way, it's not the other pel, which is glorious, right? If you're just pel, if you're just like stuck in the everyday world, me do. Your mantras won't work. Okay? It won't work. Okay. Min dup means it won't work. Okay. What's the famous person whose name has dup in it? Dundup. Siddhartha. Okay. Siddhartha. Okay. Whose name means the prince Siddhartha, who was the Buddha. His name means you get things done. Okay. And he says here, if you don't think about breaking out of this world, if you just sit there and do mantras, mindu, no asiddha, you won't reach your goals. The mantras won't help you. Okay, you gotta have this gasoline in the car called bodhicitta. Then the car of secret practice, medicine Buddha, Vajrayogini, Amitabha, Tara, it will work for you. Okay, yay! And we have a big machine, I think, somewhere. What was that machine? Yeah, I was trying to find a big machine, like, this is what Tantra looks like to me. I mean, Vajrayana Diamond Way, it's this huge, powerful machine. And it's got to have electricity, all right? And it doesn't matter how powerful the machine is. If it doesn't have electricity, it won't run. Okay, what's electricity? Bodhicitta. Yeah, good. Okay. All right, we're going on to class 6, which is where we're supposed to start today, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, Geshe-la is a little behind. It's very unusual. All right. Class 6. Ngetse dodan gyude birbum sogle shepe chambap. Now he's talking about Buddhist practices that are supposed to get you things. Okay, like little Buddhist practices, like you're supposed to get money, or you're supposed to get over your asthma or your allergies, or your mother-in-law is supposed to suddenly love you. They're specific little Buddhist rituals that I haven't spent time with you teaching you. But there are little books called Overcoming Baldness or Wrinkles or these are little books. There are little books like that. We haven't studied them. But he says, look, there's little practices. The examples he gives is chambep, which means making it rain in a desert or something like that. Okay, that would be useful for the carbon offset project. Chambep, ser sung, that's sera, protecting from sera, hailstones. And these are called chensek. Chensek means, chensek is kind of a put down. little miscellaneous Buddhist rituals. Okay, little miscellaneous rituals. Chensek, Namkyang, Shepashim, and Drupa. You know, people like you and me, we read the Nyetso means us guys. Do, we read from sutras. You, we read from tantras, from secret teachings. And Bilbum means like chronicles. Okay, we read about these rituals like making it rain, or stopping hail, or stopping the wind at Diamond Mountain. Tensei Namkyang, Shepashim and Drupa. But they never seem to work. Like we go get a book, we translate it, it's how to make things rain, we do the whole ritual, as the book says, and then nothing happens. Okay. And he says, guess what? Yeah, Chan Chowki Sam Mepe Len. Mepe Len means the problem is you don't have bodhicitta when you did those rituals. Don't think those little ritual books are mistaken. They're not. They're correct. They work. But you don't have bodhicitta, so it's not going to rain. Okay? You got to have... It's also the gasoline for the little engines. Okay? And I think we have a picture there. I don't know. I see it like a bunch of gears, and one of the gears is broken. Okay? And that's your bodhicitta. The whole machine is fine, the texts are fine, the ritual is fine, it should work, but there's one gear that's broken, which is your motivation. You don't have this motivation beyond this small world. Okay? All right. Tena, Rangshenki Nata, so Parche Sel Shinupa Chewaduna. So if you want to do things like removing people's cancer, or helping friends to get over serious diseases, things like that, fix their eyeballs, stuff like that. Semdikiga, you gotta have this motivation when you do those rituals. When you say those mantras, when you do those dharanis, if you don't have this motivation, something's broken in the machine and it won't work. Okay? Agurki, lemin drupa dedat letso tumbe menga kilen. If the lemi drup means, here it means if the ritual doesn't work. Dedat letso tumbe menga kilen. It's not a problem with the translation, or it's not a problem with the text, okay? It's not that John Brady got the wrong book in the Mongolian library, okay? Don't blame John Brady, although he's generally responsible for everything. Nyamba tabu chamirung. Nyamba means don't think like that. Don't think John Brady got the wrong book for making it rain. He got the right book. But you didn't have bodhicitta when you did the ritual. Okay? Don't think that Dr. Wu didn't get the right medicine Buddha ritual and it's not working for you. It's your motivation. Okay? All right. And then we have a picture of a lady going for a MRI in the hospital. Yeah. I don't know. I had one of these done. It's frightening, right? I don't know that they put you in this tube, and I think somebody told me it's like 5,000 X-rays or something, which doesn't sound healthy. And but if you really want to cure a cancer or something, then those rituals can work. Medicine Buddha mantras can work, but you got to have the electricity. You got to have the motivation, okay, which has to be more than fixing one person. Okay? All right, Dharma say, hum fat fat, hum fat fat, hum fat fat. Okay. I don't know. I don't like fat because it sounds like fat, and then I always think I'm eating too much. But anyway, fat is what do you call it? Threatening gesture for fat, in a Buddhist ritual. Ngak means dharani, or mantras. Ze means you make some secret, liquid or something to help you with a ritual, okay? Je Sokla Tumiguki. That's not the secret ingredient. It's it's the bodhicitta, okay? So, if you don't have pepet and you forgot your nangcha, right? Don't worry. Just replace it with some bodhicitta and you're fine. Okay? If you don't know how to make all these things, don't worry about it. The thing you have to make is from your heart, right? Okay, cool. Then he says something very, very powerful. He says, do an act of truth. Do an act of truth, okay? And this is very, very famous in ancient India. And that classic example, who can tell me? Yeah, make the Ganges River flow backwards, okay? So the Ganges River, if you've never been there, especially if you're on an Indian bus, it can take an hour to cross it on the bridge. It could take an hour to cross the river in the flat parts. Like if you're going to Bengal from West Bengal, if you're going to Bangladesh from West Bengal, then it can take an hour and it's very fun because there's holes in the bridge, and the bus has to kind of go like this, and it takes about an hour to get across that river. So imagine a spiritual practice where you pray that river should flow backwards towards the Himalayas, back to the Himalayas, up, backwards to Mount Everest because of your prayer. Like billions of gallons of water are going to turn their direction and flow up the Himalayas back to the snow mountain, okay? So this is called an act of truth. And it means you always say, if it's true that if it's true that I made a coffee for Geshe-la with my best motivation this morning, then may the Ganges River flow backwards for half an hour or something. And then it was a big disruption in ancient India. All these guys doing acts of truth, their farms don't get their irrigation, the Ganges River is flowing backwards. Okay. So if it's true that I did the tag or the translation for the Lam Rim with a fairly good motivation, then may the Ganges River flow backwards today, and that's called an act of truth. Okay. Why does it come up here? Yeah. He says, you want to know the best act of truth you could do? It's bodhicitta. If it's true that this morning, during Geshe-la's talk, I actually tried to break out of this one world, this one planet, and I spent at least 20 seconds trying to imagine helping people on another world. If that's true, then I should get a good breakfast after the class today. Okay, something like that, okay? Some glorious act of truth. All right, so, okay, so that's, he says, if you want to go do that act of truth thing, which is really fun, then bodhicitta is the best one you can choose. If you can claim that you tried to have bodhicitta for a few minutes this morning, then you can make miracles happen. Based on that truth, you can make miracles happen. Okay. Now, Pabongka Rinpoche says it's like the story of the bodhisattva who's called crying all the time, Sada Prarudita. Okay, his name is Mr. Crying All the Time. Okay, so there's a very, very famous story, and it's in the 8,000 verses on the perfection of wisdom. Boro Bolo Mido, 8,000 verses. There are many Prajnaparamita sutras. There's 100,000 verses, there's 15,000 verses, there's 25 or 20,000 verses, there's the Heart Sutra, which is 2 pages, and there's the 8,000 verses. The 8,000 verses version happens to be extremely sexy. Okay? And I love science fiction. I love to read science fiction. I read science fiction every night. I can't eat unless I'm reading science fiction. And I definitely can't go to bed without, I'm supposed to do coffee meditation, but usually it's mixed. But in that 8,000 verses is much more beautiful than science fiction. It's like the ultimate science fiction. If you really like science fiction, I recommend the 8,000 verses, okay? It's not a Madhyamika treatise. It sounds like that, right? Perfection and Wisdom Sutra. But when you really read them, they are like detective novels. They are like very exciting true stories of cool things, okay? Anyway, there's a story in the 8,000 verses called the Bodhisattva who couldn't stop crying, And I always thought it was because he was compassionate, when I heard about these stories, I always thought he was sitting in his retreat cabin at Diamond Mountain crying all day out of compassion for other people. And then I read the story. I read this story, I actually taught it to a student in 1983. How long was 1730? Anyway, a lot of years ago. We translated it. So like 35 years, 40 years ago. And over 40 years ago. And it's an extremely beautiful story, okay? And so Pabongka Rinpoche says, this bodhicitta is also, while we're on the subject, that bodhicitta gets you your wishes, helps you make your wishes come true. You should try an act of truth with bodhicitta, like the bodhisattva who couldn't stop crying. Like the bodhisattva who couldn't stop crying, And then he goes on. Then he goes on to another subject, And I don't know about you, but I'm like, what's the story? You didn't tell the story, He just said, oh, it's like that story, And then I feel frustrated, I'm like, dang, we don't know what these stories are. Don't think we know. Don't assume, Pabongka Rinpoche, that a bunch of foreigners in 2021 are going to know these stories, because we don't, So I have a proposal. I gave it to Tim this morning. I went and got the story. It's extraordinary. It's one of my favorite Buddhist books of all time, and I have a lot of favorites. But this story is something, it's extremely beautiful. So we decided this usual Lamrim blackmail technique, that if you're a volunteer, or if you agree to be a volunteer in the future, for Tim and for ACI and Tatiana, all those guys, okay? If you agree to be a volunteer, we'll have a special session this week for you guys, and we'll cover that story. Okay, we'll go through that story. So some people like Papachi, you're already in. Okay, everybody here is already in that group. But I would love to tell the story. And we don't have time in this class to do it. We'll get too far behind. So it take about a half hour, something like that. And someday we should translate the 8,000 verses, but it would take about 50 years to translate it. But it's extremely beautiful. Somebody should work on it. All right. So that's a little Dharma blackmail. Okay. I'm going to skip the story and get in touch with Tim. Will tell you how you can join that class. It's a bonus class. Okay. We'll put a link in the chat right now. Okay, cool. All right. So Pabongka Rinpoche only says Changsem Taktu Mu, misspelled in the carving. Okay, they say Taktu Du. You should refer to the story of the Bodhisattva who couldn't stop crying. And why he couldn't stop crying has nothing to do with compassion. Okay? And that's a secret. And you got to come to the half-hour class to find out. Okay. Densiki kulusu. He used an act of truth in the 8,000 verses. Okay. Then he goes on. He just skips on. So I'm going to skip that story, which I have written out here. The story is about, it take about a half hour, I think. Then he goes on to another example of an act of truth. So Pabongka Rinpoche goes on to another example of an act of truth. And I think, I'm hoping that all of you will teach Lamrim. That's the whole point of teaching the whole thing for 10, 15 years, like my teacher did to me, is that I'm hoping you will teach it, okay? And then, you have to understand the style of teaching Lamrim. So Lamrim, as you can tell, it's a lot of stories also. And you never forget the stories. I heard these stories first time 45 years ago, and I still remember the stories. You don't forget the stories. You forget Madhyamika, but you don't forget the stories, okay? So here's a story. And when you teach Lamrim, you should use your own stories from your own time and place, okay? But here's a story from Pabongka Rinpoche's time and place. In Tibet, they're in the Himalayas. There's a lot of snow. There's snow mounds. Tibet is laced with rivers everywhere. You can't walk 2 miles without having to cross a river. And there's no bridges at that time, okay? So the rivers were dangerous. And they were cold, okay? So, you had to find a good place to cross, all right? Hlatsar Sangchu. So there was a river that goes near Lhasa, through Lhasa, called Sangchu. And Shorwa Sukyan Do Manu. It used to flood. There were flooding seasons when it would it would overflow the banks of the river and destroy houses and things like that. Dogmanupa. Nobody could do anything about it. One time, the river was flooding. J. Munlampel. There was a lama called J. Munlampel, okay? And they said, "Can you help stop the river?" And he said, "Yeah, easy. Just act the truth thing. It's just an act of truth thing. Come on, just do an act of truth." So they said, "Well, what's your act of truth?" Munlam Belwa Chanju Semba Yena. So yeah, I guess you go like this. We got a picture, right, Bao? Yeah, this guy's doing an act of truth. I don't know why. He looks like a high lama to me. He's like, if it's true, and this lama named Munlam Pel, he said, if it's true that I'm a bodhisattva, if it's true that I have bodhicitta, then the river should go back and stop flooding. Okay, the river should turn back to the banks of the river. Okay, Chanchu Sembayina, Demba Di, by this truth, Chukyu, hey you water, hey you river water, Pan you the dog, get your ass back to the banks of the river. It's a very colloquial. He's talking to the water. Get yourself back to the riverbed. What are you doing here? If I'm a bodhisattva, you have to go back, okay? And they wrote it on a stone, and they put the stone on the riverbank, okay? Chirdam to kill, where Dema Taktu, immediately, Cho Parlog, the river moved back to the riverbed and stopped flooding Lhasa city, okay? Chungwang Densik Samki Dopayin. It was turned back by the power of bodhicitta. He swore that he had bodhicitta. He swore that he had that name, right? That title, bodhisattva. So the water didn't have a choice. The water had to go back. Okay. All right. Deche Dungitso Tamje Kembe Gopane Mata Lezo Tamoshi Yenche Di Drum. And now he's wrapping up benefit number 7. Okay? Now he's wrapping up benefit number 7. And he says, therefore, to conclude, we can say that you can get the whole range of stuff you want to happen in your life, you can make it happen with bodhicitta. Starting with, I don't know, may I get a good breakfast this morning, up to may all beings in the universe be happy. Starting from breakfast at Diamond Mountain, up to all the beings in the universe being happy, bodhicitta is the key to get everything you want. Bodhicitta is the key to get everything to happen, okay? From this up to that. We have 3 minutes. We have finished a major section. What should we do? Use the 3 minutes to go on, okay? We will do Q&A. We do have a Q&A time. Okay, let's just talk about benefit number 8, okay? By the way, why we're on benefit 8 out of 10 benefits and we're not like a quarter finished with the classes, you can guess benefit 10 is big and it's going to take a long time. Okay, it probably takes as much time as all the other ones. Number 8, obstacles can't touch you. Okay, that would be nice, right? Like all of us are trying to do Dharma projects, we're trying to fundraise, we're trying to save ancient books, we're trying to help hungry people. The Vietnam group, 6,000, how many were there? 16,000 students in the Vietnam group. And they are building houses for poor people. And they've built, if I'm not mistaken, it's 400 houses, something like that, for poor people. You get obstacles. When you're trying to do big projects, you get obstacles. And if you are trying to do something good to help other people, and you keep running into obstacles, then the next section is for you. Okay? You can stop all the obstacles to your cool projects by doing a little bodhicitta meditation every day. So we're going to cover that next. And that's all I have today. Tim, you have anything for everybody? See you. We'll take a 10-minute break and, do the necessary, as my teacher used to say. And we'll see you in about 10 minutes. Okay. Thank you.